We're going to go over another case of perforated appendicitis, and in this case we again have our axial and our coronal up, and as we even scroll through we see there is a ton of inflammation. Something very inflammatory is going on, but again we'll be systematic here. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to find our terminal ilium. And when we look here on our coronal, I think we see it very nicely. We actually have our terminal ilium coming here and plugging right into the cecum here, and we see that fatty ileocecal valve right there. So this is actually terminal ilium that comes in and comes into the cecum. So now that we know that, we can get on the hunt for where the appendix is, and it looks like it's right here. You see how it comes off right here. We have a fecalith here, but then coming around, we see a really good look for the appendix, and this looks dilated. It's hyperemic. There's a lot of periappendiceal fat stranding, so it looks like a really good look for an acute appendicitis. But as we scroll, this is it at its base. And as we scroll through, kind of getting here and maybe there, on this slice, and we'll zoom in a bit too, the mucosal enhancement, it's not great, and everything kind of looks a little indistinct. And even when we come over here, we can see this wall, kind of distal appendix, looks like it's enhancing pretty well, but then here it gets indistinct, here it gets indistinct. So overall, this raises some suspicion that there's loss of that wall and that there's potentially a perforation that's going on. And you can see that right here, especially on this slice. It looks like all the lumen goes away, whereas we see it right there. So that alone is a really suspicious, but then as we scroll more, what we'll do is, again, we'll look for free air and free fluid. Just scrolling through on our lung window, I don't think we see any obvious free air anywhere. But then when we come back to our soft tissue window, we actually see that there's a little collection of free fluid rather, around the pericolic gutter, so it's kind of hugging that bowel there. And then when we come here, we see a collection. It's not like an abscess, but there is a little bit of fluid there. So we have some areas of free fluid, not focal fluid collections, but free fluid that in the setting of this indistinct, enhancement or loss of enhancement of the appendix raises suspicion for perforation. And actually in this case, this was another confirmed case of perforation. So it's important to be mindful of those types of findings, especially in the setting of this fluid in multiple locations, and raise the suspicion for perforation.